want to do today, guys, as we were doing yesterday's lesson, I realized we haven't really built a word bank for you guys. So the first thing I want to do is start to build our word bank. Today we're going to work just on addition and subtraction expressions. So we're going to build the words for those today, and then next class we'll do multiplication and division. But I want you to start to understand when I see certain words, those mean certain operations. So let's talk about the English words that show addition or subtraction. Who can think of some? Hayden?
Positive, negative.
Awesome. Positive, negative. So positive would be adding. Negative would be subtracting. A lot of times we talk about that in elevation or in temperature. This here?
More or less.
More or less. Good. More means I would be adding. Less would mean I'd be subtracting. Some. So S-U-M, not S-O-M-E. What about for subtracting? What would we say? Oh, I just said it. Subtract? Or difference? How about add? Now I do want to add one. What if we said add to? That actually tells us two things. I want you to go ahead and put this arrow above that because that's also a flipping phrase. If I say add or added to, that means I'm going to reverse the order of the numbers as well. Good. Lily?
Take away.
Take away. Good. So that would be a subtraction. Take away. Hayden? That's okay. This here. Deposit would be a positive, because I'm putting stuff in, right? Deposit, right? Minus. As odd as it may sound, that is actually a really big one that you'll see quite a bit. Chance?
Divide.
We'll get divide later. We'll do multiplication and division. Any more, Aiden? Withdraw. So that's going to take them away. You guys have missed a couple of our big switching phrases. Aiden? Plus.
Greater than.
Greater than. So greater than. Less than. And greater, normally we'll say more than. And what's key about those is those are additional switching phrases where we're going to reverse the order on those. Any other ones you guys can think of? Okay, so this is not an all-inclusive list. There's a lot of other ones you can do. But this gives you a good start, and at least now you have somewhere you can turn to get somewhat of a word bank as you're going through these problems to help you understand what these words are telling you to do mathematically.
Create and destroy.
Create and destroy? Okay. Create, destroy. And for those of you listening at home, each class is going to have their own word bank because I'm not saving this class to class. We're just working on it each class. Miss Sarah? Give would be negative, because normally if I give something, it's going away, right? Aiden?
Receive.
Receive. That would be on the positive because I'm getting extra. See how those lists can keep building, Aiden?
Gain.
Gain. Especially when we talk athletics, we see a lot of gain or loss, which I put over here. We'll put loss on this side. Okay, so that gives us a good start. So now let's look at our first problem here. How can we show a number increased by 2?
Oh, I forgot increase.
Significant increased. So we can do increase or decrease. Yep.
Found or lost.
Increase, decrease, decrease. Found, lost, sure. found or lost. But a number increased by 2. How would I write that? Aiden?
X plus 2.
X plus 2. Could I have used any variable?
Yeah.
Yeah, X, they didn't tell me. But X, again, is our most common one. That's why we've got to get away from using that as a multiplication sign, guys. Now, can we do this during a model? What would our model look like?
It would look like X dot 2.
No, you're close. But in our model,
Subtraction?
no. Side by side. Right? Addition model is side by side. Our next part is one that I really hold near and dear, guys, because this is going to help you immensely. You're going to do this all the way through algebra, all the way up into calculus. So if we can get this habit built good early, it's going to really help you as you move forward. And that is being more specific in your description of a variable, especially using units where possible. So let's look at some examples. Our first one, if we used a variable of J for Joshua's speed, and then complete description would be, let J represent Joshua's speed. How can we be more specific on that? Aiden?
J equal S.
What do you mean S?
S.
No, that's actually even less specific, because now you're needing to identify another variable. Ryan? Let me give you a hint. Is there a difference in my speed if I'm running a 100-meter dash or a marathon? Yes. If I'm running a 100-meter dash, how am I going to measure my speed? By what? And what kind of time do I run that in?
Meters per second.
Meters per second. That's more specific. Good job, Aiden. So I could say J equals Joshua's speed in meters per second. If I were running a marathon, how would I do my speed? Would I still do meters per second? No.
Miles per hour.
Miles per hour, right? Because if I'm doing 26 miles, I'm not measuring that in seconds. That's going to be measured in hours. Make sense? Okay, so now that we've got that as our baseline, what if I talk about Rufus's height? Rather than just saying R is Rufus's height, what would I say? How do I measure height? Denise? Inches, right? So we're going to say R equals Rufus's height in inches. Or, since we're in Japan, they actually measure in centimeters because they use the more intelligent system, the metric system. What about milk? If I'm selling milk and I want M as the amount of milk sold, what kind of units do I sell milk in? What do you think, Santa? Yes, you do.
I know it. Wait, do I know that?
How do I drink milk?
You drink.
If I get it out, what am I pouring from?
Carton.
Carton. What's a carton measured in?
Gallon or quart?
Gallon or quart?
Gallon, liter, quart.
Gallon, liter, quart. So you can pick either one. So I would say M, amount of milk sold, and I would probably go with gallons or quarts. So we'll say gallons in this case. Now, if you're buying it here at the school, it'd be in pints. So they would say, how many pints of milk did they sell? Colleen's time in the 40-meter hurdles. That gives us a really big clue. So C is representing Colleen's time. What would be more specific, Aiden?
Seconds, minutes, or hours.
So 40 meter, what do you think it should be?
Minutes.
40 meters? Seconds. 40 meters is like from my wall to this Carolina's wall. It's not very far. So in this case, C is Colleen's time in seconds. Lastly, Sean's age. So rather than just say S is Sean's age, how would we say it?
Years and months.
Good. Normally, if I'm talking, if Sean was a baby, like for Miss Caruana and I, when we talk about Cora, we still talk in months, because Cora is now 6 months old. But once you get past basically 2 years, you normally just start talking about in years. So we'll assume Sean's older, so we'll say S is Sean's age in years. Make sense?
Yeah.
Lily?
It's seen.
Depending if you're Irish or not. The Irish would pronounce that as seen. Most of the rest of us pronounce that as Sean, if you have an English background. Okay. Go ahead and turn the page. Whoa. That was fun. So we have 3 more. I'm going to let you guys work as a table. Go ahead and solve these 3. I'll give you 3 minutes. Shouldn't take you longer than that. Yes. Let's look at these 3. First one, Joshua's merit badges. Instead of just the merit badges, what should we talk about? Number. So we say J equals number of Joshua's badges. Joshua's merit. Sorry guys, my board is not being good today. Our next one, instead of Rufus's trading cards, we would say number of trading cards. So the number of Rufus's trading cards. Next, milk money. M is the amount of milk money. Dollars. You gotta be cautious because we're in Japan, right? So milk money in dollars. Okay? We have to be very specific. This next step, what we're going to do, we're going to give you a little bitty story problem. And then we're going to start building our expressions, and we're now going to take it to the next step, actually give you a value for your expression, and then evaluate it to figure out exactly what it equals. Okay? So our first couple, just to give you an idea, we have Greg has 2 more dollars than his brother Jeff. More than tells me 2 things what? Switching phrase and adding. So now I'm going to write an expression for the amount of money that Greg has. Here's your first hint. If they tell me what I'm writing the expression for, they want it for Greg, meaning that what I don't know is the other thing. In this case, Jeff. Okay? So J is going to represent Jeff money in dollars. So from Jeff's perspective, given this situation, if I'm Jeff, how much does Greg have? 2 more dollars. So that would be Jeff plus 2. Then they're going to tell me, okay, Jeff has $12. So I'm going to take this expression, rewrite it, then I'm going to substitute my $12 in, and I'm going to go ahead and solve it. Spencer. Yep, come on up. You can't sit back there. Now I know that Greg has $14. Now, here's the nice thing on these story problems. You can easily go back and check it. So now I go back and I say, okay, Greg has 2 more dollars than Jeff. Jeff has 12. Does Greg have 2 more dollars than that? Yes. So I set it all up correctly. Make sense? So our next one. Exact same situation. Greg has 2 more dollars than Jeff. But now I'm going to do it for what Jeff has. So again, this is my hint. I need the opposite. So now I want to know what Greg does. So Greg, G, is now going to be Greg's money in dollars. Same situation, but now I'm writing it the other way. So if I have Greg's dollar, he has 2 more than Jeff. So how do I go from Greg to Jeff, the amount of money they have? Greg has 2 more, so to get to Jeff's money, what do I need to do? Subtract 2. So now my expression is G minus 2. Then they're going to say, okay, Greg has $14. I rewrite my expression, G minus 2, but now I substitute the value in for the G. 14 minus 2, Jeff has $12. And I go back again to my scenario. Greg has $2 more. He has 14. Is that 2 more than Jeff has? Yes. So I did it correctly. Making sense? Sort of. Okay, let's do one more together to walk through this and help you guys see it. Abby read 8 more books than Kristen in the first marking period. Write an expression for the number of books Abby read. So if I'm looking for Abby, that means what I don't know is Kristen. So my variable is going to be set up for Kristen. So I'm going to go ahead and use K. What are we looking at? The number of books read. So K equals number of books that Kristen read. Make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Now again, looking at the scenario. Now I'm at Kristen. Abby read 8 more books than Kristen. So if I'm at K, how would I get to Abby? Come on. K plus 8. So now we're going to say Kristen read 9 books in the first quarter. So I go and I put my expression back up here, K plus 8. But I now know that K is 9. So I'm going to substitute that 9 in for the K. So 9 plus 8. So that gets me 17. So Abby read 17 books. Let's go back to our scenario, make sure it makes sense. Abby read 8 more than Kristen. If Kristen read 9, does it make sense that she read 17 for Abby? Yes. So everything checked. Sienna?
How did Kristen read 9?
Because they said she did.
But how would they get that?
They gave it to you.
So we won't ever have to do that. So we won't ever have to do that?
What do you, you'll never have to assign a value for K.
Okay. Oh, okay.
They have to give you that value. This is the part you'll do, is develop the expression, but then they have to tell you that. Otherwise, you can't really do anything. I mean, there may be more information later on that tells you what it is, but that's the whole idea in a variable is I don't know. I know there's a number there. I don't know what it is. So until I'm told what it is, I just keep that variable. But once they tell me what it is, now I can substitute that value in.
Okay.
Make sense?
I got it.
Lily.
I'm confused how this whole thing works out.
Which part? Let's just go through it step by step. Okay, first step, they gave me a situation, right? Abby read 8 more books than Kristen. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Good? Now, they want me to find out how many that Abby read. You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so they want me to find what Abby read, but to do that, I need to know what Kristen read. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So to find out what Abby read, I have to know what Kristen read, because she's the other person.
Why do you want to know what Kristen read and know what so you can figure out how many Abby read?
So I can figure out how many Abby read, because it's asking me to figure out how much Abby read. So to know that, I got to figure out what Kristen read.
Because she read 8 more books than Kristen.
Because Abby read 8 more than Kristen. Okay? So that means my variable, what I don't know, is Kristen. So that's where my variable comes from. And K is the number of books that Kristen read. Does that make sense so far? So then I go back in here and I say, okay, Kristen, Abby read 8 more. So if I'm Kristen and I want to know what Abby read, I know she read 8 more than me, didn't she? So how do I figure that out? I take what I read and I add 8 more. Good on that?
Yeah. Yes.
Then they actually tell me, okay, Kristen actually read 9. They give me that information. So once they've given me that information, now instead of saying whatever number she read, I said, oh, well, she read 9. So I put the 9 in for the K, and now I can find out that Abby read 17 books. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, let's do one more together before I set you guys loose.
Same line as that one.
It is not,
Well, it's just like different numbers.
but watch what changes.
Oh, it's
So
which
Abby read 6 more books. Whoops, sorry. 6 more books than Kristen in the second marking period. Write expression for the number of books Kristen read. Okay, Lily. So now I want to find what Kristen read, right?
Yeah.
So what is it I need to know? Find out what Kristen read, I need to know what Abby read. So this is the piece I need. So my variable is going to be for A, for Abby. And it's specifically going to be the number of books that Abby read. Make sense? Now we look at it from Abby's perspective. Abby read 6 more than Kristen did, right? So if I'm at Abby, how do I get to what Kristen read?
8 plus 6.
But she read 6 more.
So A minus 6.
A minus 6 to get to Kristen, right? Because from Abby's number, I'm going to have to take 6 away to get to Kristen's number.
So it's 8.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Yes.
So now Abby read 20 books. So I take my initial expression, A minus 6, but I now know that Abby read 20. So I can put a 20 in for that. 20 minus 6 gives me 14. So I can say Kristen
Read 14 books.
read 14 books. And then we can go back to our scenario, make sure it makes sense. If Abby read 6 more and she read 20, does that make sense that Kristen read 14?
Yes. Yep. Wait.
That easy, right?
Yep. So
Yes.
if it says like whatever the name is at the bottom, you have to do what the other name is.
Correct. Okay? Because to find it for Kristen, I have to know what Abby did. Okay? So you got 4 more left on this page. I'm going to give you guys, we'll give you 8 minutes to do it. I'll again let you work as a table. Okay, I'm going to go through these quick. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Next one. Daryl's been teaching for 1 year longer than Julie. Number that Daryl has. And so what I don't know is J, number of years Julie has been teaching. What does it look like? To find out what Daryl has, he's 1 year longer, so I need to take her years and add 1. Julie's been teaching for 28, so I start at the J plus 1. 28 plus 1 means 29. Daryl has been teaching 29 years. Our next one, Ian scored 4 fewer goals than Julia in the first half. I want for Ian. So what I don't know is Julia. So I'm going to do J is number goals Julia scored. So from Julia's perspective, Ian scored 4 fewer. So I need J minus 4 to get to what Ian did. Julia scored 13. Spencer, stop talking. 13 minus 4 is 9. So Ian scored 9. We go back and check real quick. Ian scored 9. That's 4 fewer than 13. We're good to go. Ian scored 3 fewer than Julia in the second half. Write one for what Julia scored. So if I'm looking for Julia, I don't know Ian. So I is number goals that Ian scored. He scored 3 fewer. So if I'm at him, I need to add 3 to it to get to what did Julia scored. My expression, I plus 3. I now know that Ian scored 8. Substitute that in. 8 plus 3 gets me 11. So Julia scored 11 goals. No, this is not our homework. Johan visited Niagara Falls 3 times fewer than Arthur. Write the number that's Johan. So if it's Johan, I'm looking for Arthur. So A is number times Arthur. Visited Niagara Falls. From Arthur's perspective, Johann was 3 fewer than Arthur. So if I know the number that Arthur did, I take 3 away from that to get what Johann did. Arthur visited 5 times. So I start with my A minus 3. Substitute the 5 in. 2, so Johann went twice.
I did that just for more.
Good job.
Me too.
Me too.
Does that make sense, guys?
Yes. See, I thought, I don't know why, but I thought that if it said fewer, then I would add.
Depending on how you're looking at it. Then that's part of the problem. You've got to say, what is it I don't know? Put that back into the situation and figure out how do I go from there to the other piece. In this case, Arthur is what I'm looking at. So Arthur went 3 times more. So if I know what he did, I have to take 3 from that. Had it been the other way, and it said how many times Arthur went, then I'd be saying Johann, well, Arthur went 3 more, so I'd take J and add 3 to it. So it all depends on what you're looking for. That same situation can be written both ways, depending which way you're looking at it from. Which is why you guys turn real quick to your homework. Page 82. You'll look, this is actually very similar to what we just did. Okay? Big hint. This one, they don't give you that second piece. So here's your hint on how to solve this. This should be your variable. Okay? So in this case, Ethan was my variable. So I'm writing it from Ethan's perspective. In this case, Anna is my variable. So Anna, so A is number of stories Anna wrote. I'm doing one of your problems for you, yes. How do I write that? And Ella wrote 8 more than Anna. So if I did Anna, I need to add 8 to figure out what Ella did. And now I have A plus 8. Anna wrote 10 plus 8, meaning that Ella wrote 18.
I understand it, Mr. Moore.
Good. Okay, you guys don't have this piece yet. I'm about to hand it out to you, but I want to show it to you while we're on recording. Here's the other piece of your homework. This is the algebraic expressions one.
Wow.
Okay? There's 20. This is really simple, guys. Listen. Listen. This is really simple. All you're going to do, Paul had X baseball cards and gave 5 to his brother. So what do I do? X minus 5.
Easy.
Then you're going to flip the sheet over, and on number 1, you're going to write that expression, X minus 5. Then I'm going to give you a value for X that you're now going to substitute in, 34 minus 5, and that is 29. There's your answer.
I get it.
How's that not easy?
Oh,
Kimari, this is easy.
that's not easy.
So that's all you have for homework tonight, guys. Those 2. Don't forget to finish page 82 as well.